Hey, what's up, guys? We're back with another episode of the Yankees Farm Report. Nick with me here as always, and as you can see today, we have Cam Schlittler on, MLB Pipeline's Pitcher of the Year for the Yankees organization. Truly appreciate you coming on, Cam.
Yeah, thank you again for having me, guys. I'm excited to be here.
Well, again, we totally appreciate you coming on. So just getting right into it. I know you're a Boston kid. Um, how has that played out? Being a Boston kid and now in the Yankee organization.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, growing up, from Boston, I was definitely, my career and what I was trying to do, where I wanted to go, and especially with their development and stuff like that. Yankees were definitely a good option, and I had no issues. Obviously I grew up, not, having that rivalry and all that, but I mean, when it came to, my career and, what I was looking to, gain out of, getting to pro ball, Yankees were definitely where I wanted to be.
Okay. Okay. Um, when you get to Northeastern, you went to Northeastern, your first taste, I think you threw around 15 innings or so. What was that thought process going into the next season, and what was that like, or that jump?
Yeah, honestly, after our freshman year, the whole COVID thing happened. So, didn't really get to taste that, true freshman experience. That whole season obviously got cut short. So, again, I took that as an opportunity to, really try and work on some things, on and off the field. And, that was a time for me to, really get in the weight room and, get stronger and kind of let my body develop a little bit.
Mhm.
Where I think I was able to come in, my sophomore year, a lot more well prepared than I would have if the season didn't get canceled.
Um, and being that you started to take it more serious, I guess you said, after the COVID season, or you started to work on yourself a bit, was there a point where you started to think about, that you could turn pro, or if that wasn't your future, or was that always your goal?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, like, going to play college baseball, that's always, the end goal. From high school and, getting into college, playing professional baseball has always been a dream of mine. So, when I got to college again, really freshman year, you don't really see, that expectation as much. But again, going as into your sophomore year, you kind of start to hear things where you're, see that, that really might be a possibility. If
Mhm.
again, if you start doing certain things that are going to attract, those eyes from scouts.
Yeah, because I mean, like you said, you go to college to play ball. That's always going to be the goal. But for some people, they get there, and then it's just like it's a shock that how much better the competition is from where you were coming from, and then I guess you start to question, is this something that I could really continue doing?
For sure. And definitely some guys, when you have those conversations and some guys are very content with, playing college baseball and getting their degree and, that's fine as well. But, the way I looked at it, baseball is always the end goal. Obviously I did what I needed to do in the classroom, but, baseball was definitely, always first for me.
Mhm. Um, at the end of the 22 seasons, at the end of the 22 season for you, were there any teams knocking on your door? Was there any thought process as far as to like, what round you could be selected or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think going in to my junior season, I met with, every team. I met with, certain scouts, from every team. So again, you kind of, start to, figure out what teams kind of like you more than others. So, you get a good idea of that, and then again, you go into the season, and by the end of it, you definitely have, a clear few, that are definitely more interested than others. So again, leading up to the draft, you're very open minded, but definitely had an idea of what teams, were probably more willing to take me than others.
Was there any, expectation of around where you would go?
Yeah, I think somewhere between the fifth and 10th was, kind of the range um, that, I was told. And luckily I kind of, went right in the middle of that. So,
Is it something where like you're expecting your expectation is to go between 10th and the fifth round? Is it like I mean, we've heard a lot of different stories. Some of them are really funny, but in that draft, during that draft day or draft night, are you waiting around watching the ticker tape, or you're just going about your business.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of just going about my business. I know the draft is definitely it's stressful. I mean, I know I've heard a lot of stories, and guys are obviously panicking, and realistically, I probably found out 2 rounds before that I was going in the seventh. So
Mhm.
I didn't even tell my parents. I was just kind of sitting in my room playing Xbox with my friends. Really, I wasn't even really focusing on it. And I was like, I have this information, and I'm not gonna go leap on it before it happens. But then obviously once it happened, I was like, all right, obviously, a very surreal feeling.
So you got a heads up like, hey, if you're still available at this in this round, we're gonna take you.
Yeah, again, like my agent, he's a great guy, and he made that process very smooth for me. And obviously he spoke with the team during the draft on day two, and luckily what he told me happened, which isn't always the case for some people. So
Mhm.
again, he made it very easy for me, and very thankful for what he was able to do. And so again, it was more of a calming process than most people's stressful stories.
Yeah, like I said, I've definitely heard some funny stories regarding the draft. So in that first year, I mean, pitchers of the Yankees draft typically don't pitch in that first season. Was there any anxiety or you were itching, ready to go? How did that work for you, just sitting around?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was pretty content with it. Again, like you're going into something that you haven't experienced yet, and as starters, all the starters weren't throwing because we had a lot of innings in the spring, and I didn't even throw in the summer ball really. I went to the combine, I threw on the mound there, but after that I wasn't even throwing. So once I got drafted, once I head down to Tampa, it was really just all right, we're gonna work out, get stronger, go through the process. So it was a little bit easier, getting into that instead of where some guys were specifically relievers were definitely, still throwing, and some were even getting into those low A games. So it was a little bit easier to just, kind of work out and kind of get used to how the whole process is.
So you arrive at Tampa, get to the complex. What was that like going in there? What was that experience like for you?
I'd say my experience is a little bit different. So right after the draft, obviously I get down there. Again, it's still through the whole COVID thing. So I get down there, we're getting on the day to go like sign and all that, do the physical stuff like that. And I ended up having COVID. So
Gotcha.
I wasn't able to sign on the day that everyone else was signing.
Hmm.
So I actually got stuck in my hotel room for about 6 days.
Hmm.
Um, and
In
just
the
couldn't do it.
protocol.
Yeah, just protocol, whatever. They were trying to get me out there as, fast as possible. But,
Hmm.
obviously with protocol, all that, and, I was able to get out there after like, 6 days, which then I ended up, signing. But it was definitely a weird experience because then obviously I walked in there, a week later where everyone's already friends and all that, where I'm just kind of
Hmm.
the new guy. Yep.
So
So it was definitely weird.
when you arrive at the training camp, what was your repertoire like, and what was it like when you were after you left there? Was there any
Um,
changes or tweaks
once I got there after the draft to when I went home is what you're saying?
when you get to the complex?
Yeah. Not really. Again, when I went in there, like the expectation was, all right, this guy needs to put some weight on. So that's really what I was focusing on, and I was able to, do that in a short span of time. So again, like the main thing they were looking at for me was definitely, get stronger. Again, not throwing. So that was really kind of my only, you know, thing I had to do was just kind of worry about working out and stuff like that. And by the time I left, obviously not throwing. Going into the off season, it was kind of like still as it was in college because I wasn't working on, some things, mechanically and all that. It was just really
Mhm.
just working out and trying to get bigger.
Um, I know one of the stories that, or one of the things that a lot of guys tell us, especially the pitchers when they get drafted, is they put on those avatar suits with all the to
Yep.
learn to input their mechanics into the Yankees computer system. What was
Yep.
that like?
Yeah. So I didn't do that until spring training of 23. So like
Hmm.
my first going into my first full season. Yeah, I did that when I got down there in February, and it was definitely an interesting process. can't say I've ever been through that before, but again, like it was good. They put all those dots on you, and you can kind of see what muscles you're using, and
Hmm.
it's a very good tool to have. Obviously, it takes a little bit to get the data back, but going into your first pro season, you get that data back, and it's like, all right, you see what you need to be better at, or what muscles you need to use more. So, very insightful tool they have. The only thing that is a lot with it is obviously you warm up, and then it takes 20 minutes or so to put all the dots on. So
Hmm.
you kind of get cold, and then you gotta ramp up fast again. And that was obviously a little bit tough because I hadn't been through something like that. Now I think by like my third one, it's a little bit more easing and more simpler.
Hmm. Okay. Um, so I guess in 23, I think was the first year you were on the mound for the Yankees. Um, how much different was it than back in your college day when you pitched that first inning with Tampa? Or no, I think did you get to Tampa? I think it was Hudson Valley.
Yeah, I was in the complex till about for most of the year, honestly. And then I went to low A and then ended up
Hmm.
finishing it high. So again, my first outing was, on one of the backfields. I forget if it was at the Tampa complex or like the Tigers. It might have been the Tigers complex, honestly. But
Hmm.
it was different for sure. I mean, again, like college, that aspect is, obviously it's you're training with these guys for months prior to the season starting, right? So, there's a little bit more of a bond there, and more team chemistry in a way. So, again, when in the backfield, complex league, it's a little bit more individualized, a little bit. So again, you're trying to go out there, and they want you to do certain things, and you're trying to meet those standards. So like it was definitely different. I kind of went out there and kind of just threw, and that was it. And
Hmm.
then like the next guy came in, and then the hitters were getting their reps in. So it wasn't some crazy opening day of college feeling. It was kind of more on the relaxed side of things.
Yeah, I went down to the complex this year for the first time, and I saw like the throwing sessions pretty much, right, where the pitcher's out there, and they're telling him, you're going to pitch to X amount of batters,
Yep.
no matter what, right? And I've seen some pitchers who are like, "Okay, let me finish this inning, let me finish this inning." The coach is like, "That's it, you're done, you're done."
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's a little weird seeing that up close.
It is. Yeah. Because normally in college you would that guy's going to finish that inning.
Yeah.
But we're obviously, and that's why I think the Yankees are very good at what they do. They exceed at a pitch count, and like they don't let you go over that. They don't care
Hmm.
what the at bat is or what count it is or what the situation is. Again, like they're trying to take care of you, and
Hmm.
they do things a certain way, and that's why the Yankees progress so well with the pitching side of things.
Right. Nick, do you have anything right now?
I have a question. I mean, you jumped 3 levels this year, right? You got the pitch in Hudson Valley, then you went to, I believe you made a spot start in Scranton, and then came back and finished off in Trenton, or not Trenton anymore, Somerset. But
Yep.
just what kind of experience was that for you, like to go through 3 levels?
Yeah. Again, I think as I my first season in 23, I kind of went also kind of did the same thing where going from the complex to to low A and then to high A. It's again it's quick jumps. So I was very fortunate to start off in high A this year, but again, I was able to kind of settle in there for a few months, and then obviously they needed me in triple A, and again I took that as an opportunity to go learn from some of those guys, the older guys, more experienced. And obviously the outing wasn't amazing, but I was definitely able to learn some things from that, and the guys were they were awesome. They were able to help me out and give me some good pointers. So I think I was able to take that back to Hudson Valley, and luckily getting to Somerset for the last like 2 months of the season was also great as well. Where talking to some of those older guys who were again have had more experience than I have, so I was able to again I think make a lot of adjustments through those 3 levels. And again going into this year, I think that definitely will help me for what I'm trying to do in spring training.
Has there been anybody like this year that you would say? Because I mean, like I said, you really put yourself on the map for going forward for 2025. Is there anybody that like really helped you this year, like that you would say was the biggest influence on you this year?
Yeah, again, I think, from going from levels, right? Like, you talk to guys who have, maybe been in the system 3, 4, 5 years. Um, in Hudson Valley, I think, there was a lot of, we kind of bounced off each other. again, we're all learning. Hudson Valley is kind of a learning phase where we're really trying to figure out like what type of player we are. So that kind of was more team collaborated, but again, once I went to AAA, like talking to some of those guys was really good. But once I really got to AA, again, Messenger was a really good guy to talk to. He game plans very well. So talking to him, that game planning was something I really needed to work on. Prior to my outings, really digging into the hitters I'm facing and kind of get a plan once I go out there. He was someone that was definitely very good at that, and he was very helpful. Once I got there, but again as well, like D's, even Shields, and when Hampton was there for a little bit, it's good to really dissect what they've learned from being there. Whether it was Hampton obviously last year, and D's the whole year, and then Shields was obviously there a little bit before me. So again, like going off those guys and what they learned was definitely helped me ease into things.
Exactly. Zach
Any go
is, guys, I'm sorry.
go ahead. No, no,
Oh,
go
I
ahead,
was
go
gonna,
ahead.
we've had Zach on twice here. He's very cerebral, and I think he does game plan very well.
Oh yeah,
Very good in sequencing as well. I got to see him this year when I went to the Somerset game this year. It was the sole game that Garrett Cole pitched in, and I think he finished that
oh,
game. I think he
nice.
threw like four shutout innings, but yeah, he's a really good guy and definitely to plans and sequences. But he's very cerebral, and I've told him that I was like, you know what, he's a student of the game.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. He was someone who, like, again, like he understands, you know, the mental side of it, very
Hmm.
well. I'm kind of someone who, and he's also a very competitive player. So when you have someone, competitive with that kind of mind, like, he obviously showed, exactly what he can do this year, and he's definitely a good, good teammate to go off of and learn from. So, again, going there and kind of having him dissect, these hitters that, again, I'm someone who will go out there and just kind of throw. And like, that's kind of the guy I was going into this year is like, it's like, I'm going to go out there and, you know, prove my strengths and, try and just go attack those guys where he, would also do that as well. But, there was more to it that, I didn't really understand at first. So, learning from him and really seeing how he looks at baseball and how he attacks, every at bat or, even every pitch, it definitely, made things easier for me when I was going out there to pitch.
You have any what's your goals and expectations for 2025?
Yeah, again, this is someone I talked with, the mental conditioning guy, we talked to them a lot, and I think the goals I had in 2024 were, definitely more, kind of literal and, kind of more definitive. But, I think this year, going into the season again, like it's all about consistency now, and staying healthy. These are certain things that are more important as you move up levels. Is being able to be consistent with what you're doing on the mound and off the mound and in the weight room and nutrition, all that. But again, like staying healthy is a big thing, and I think going into this year in spring training and being consistent, kind of showing them that I can do that again. Going into the following year is probably the most important thing.
And then the last question I got, and I asked Eric Rousman the same question, but if there's one pitch from one of your teammates that you could learn or develop or get, what would it be?
Uh, man. Again, I think and some guys got some really good pitches. I mean, I
Put him on the spot.
personally, I kind of need like a change up. I need to work on my change up. Like Kobe White, he actually had a really good like splitter. That would be a sick pitch to throw. That would be. I would love to throw a splitter. I have no idea how to throw one. But if I could learn that, because my changeup's a little iffy, so if I could learn how to do that, yeah, that'd be amazing.
You took a significant step forward this season in your career and your progress. Is there something you could point back to that says that'll that helped you take that step forward?
Um, I think going into this year, and again last year, you're going into your first pro season where you don't really know what to expect, right? So I think coming into last off season, definitely better minded of what, I needed to do as a player, and, how I need to prepare myself. Again, I think I was able to kind of grow into my body a little bit, take those innings and, really, handle the workload, of, throwing so much. So I think, coming into this year, I think I just kind of devoted, myself to, like a routine and sticking to it. And that was able to, get me through the year and, stay healthy, by the end of it.
Would you say that, I mean, when you first, this is your first full season, right? This was your first full season. Were you more of a thrower when the season started? And is there something that changed as far as, you're becoming more of a pitcher, right? Where you're like, you're understanding sequences, you're understanding how to attack hitters, not specifically to your strengths, but maybe to their weaknesses.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Again, I think coming into this year, again, with the whole game planning, like, again, more of a thrower, right? In college, I was able to, go out there and throw and, stick to my strengths and, I was able to work. So obviously you get the pro ball and, there's certain guys you're facing in those lineups and, they have weaknesses, right? And, you got to be able to expose them, but at the same time, still using your strengths as well. And that's where, the whole sequence and, tunnel and, pitch mix is very, still kind of just a thrower, right? I was kind of still figuring that out and the whole game planning and, uh, um, even though the last one, didn't go the way I wanted, but the two or three in between that, and stuff like that, where I think I started to become a pitcher in a way where I was understanding, how to attack guys and work counts and play off my strengths, but also their weaknesses. So I think, by the time I got to, Somerset and learning from those guys like Mess and Dees and Shields, that I was able to, kind of flash signs of, being a, an actual pitcher.
Mm. Was there any particular battle that stuck out to you, like one hitter that was really tough for you?
Yeah, there's several, right? Okay. Sorry, I just glitched on. Yeah, I mean, there's several, right? I think when I face guys like those ones that are, very contact, don't miss much. Probably again, like I faced Crawford, Justin Crawford a lot.
Mhm.
He's always a tough at bat. He just puts things in play, right? He's a hard strikeout. He's not someone who misses the ball much. Again, like you can get him to roll over a lot, but as a pitcher, right, you're looking to strike guys out.
Of
So,
course.
that's always the goal is I want to strike everyone out. But he was someone very tough at bat. I got him a couple of times. He got me a couple of times. Definitely frustrating getting into deep counts. So not that I want to give him too much credit or anything, but he's definitely facing him and two levels over end of last year and then into high A this year and then into double A as well. That definitely a tough at bat.
Mm. Nick, got anything?
Yeah, I was about to ask the same question, but I think you kind of put it on there, man. I want to ask a little bit about Messenger too, man. I know you talked about him a lot. Like, do you gravitate him towards him because you guys are the same height?
I mean, he's a tall dude. He's big. Like he's got weight on me as well. But again, when I got to high last year, like he was still there. Again, he was also someone to feed off of as well. And again, I think when you're looking at what guys are doing on the field, right? Like you're going to gain some respect for dudes who are going out there and doing their job and they're performing right at the highest levels. So going to him and and just kind of being able to go off what he's telling me or what he's feeding. Like he's a very competitive guy, right? I don't really talk to him the day he's throwing. He gets like he's into it. Like he's in like a deep state mind. Like he is so focused that like I don't even want to bother him, But like
Mm.
he's a super nice dude, and but like yeah, tall guys. I feel like we got a lot of tall dudes, and I think we're all for some reason we're all pretty close. I feel like we definitely are around each other a lot.
Yeah. I got one member question here. What do you feel you can improve on for next season to continue or to succeed at Somerset?
Yeah, again, I think walks right are key. Getting ahead. Me personally, I think I need to work on some things against lefties, and that's kind of more getting the four seamer in the zone. My waist pitch to lefties is, significantly higher than it is to righties. So I think that's, something I got to look at, right? And, kind of going into these bullpens I'm starting to throw now is, look at what I can do against lefties. And, maybe it's just a imaging thing and something like that. But again, like limiting walks, getting ahead, not getting into 3-2 counts. It's very important, right? I think, once you get to double A, it's, seeing how far you can go with, still having success, right? So, getting into deep games, trying to go like 6, 7, 8 innings. So, and that's not something I've really been able to do, right? So, I've been more hanging around that 4 or 5, maybe, a 6 inning game here and there, but, and that comes with getting in deep counts and,
Experience
sometimes
also.
walking, and so I think again, limiting walks and getting ahead is, definitely what I'm looking at, coming into this year.
All right. I mean, I think you have a really good foundation. Like I said, pipeline, pitcher of the year for the Yankees. Congratulations on that once again, by the way. And we're very optimistic about what you do next, and we're hoping for the best for you in 2025.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. And, obviously there's some expectations to meet. And again, it's all about consistency and, staying healthy. And, that's what's going to be very important once, I head down there in January. So,
All right. Nick, if you don't have anything else,
And like I said, I'm a huge fan, man. I hope, to see you in the Bronx soon, man, pretty soon. I mean, listen, there's a lot of competition with pitching. I mean, you guys have all done a great job and worked it out, man. Seventh round pick to get to double A already and you know, hopefully, big things to come soon.
yeah, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. And obviously I thank you guys for, reaching out and, obviously, all the support all year. So, really thank you for having me and, taking the time to speak to me.
all right. Again, Cam, we appreciate it very much you coming on. Nick, as always. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Sounds good. Thank you. I appreciate it.